time is 11, so he plays on television.
Yeah.
And Gregory is a second reading player, so he hasn't.
No, you get that.
For the Chargers, he was in the Western side.
Gotcha. Yeah. What age?
11.
And Will, you're gonna stream on, you're gonna connect to this?
That's fine. If you referee them, I don't want to see any favoritism calls or anything like that.
Okay,
Sticking is sticking, no matter what you do. so
We're ready,
yeah.
yep.
okay, everybody, we have a quorum, so we're gonna turn on the tape recorder. They don't call it that anymore. Cameras rolling.
Yeah, cameras
On
rolling.
you have the floor.
All right, so we've got a quorum tonight, so we'll reflect that. Public comment, I had no comments that came in. I'm just gonna make sure we didn't see any others
No,
came
no,
in.
we need to announce who's here.
Oh, absolutely. Charles Toohey, Josie Van Graves, Joe LaCivita, Lenny the Neighbors, Sam Wells. There's your 5 out of 9.
These are your board members?
5 of 9 board members, yeah.
Okay, and who else is here?
We have Michelle from Whiteman. We got my staff, Will, myself, Lynette, Shelby, Elizabeth. Here.
Good. Okay. So, we don't have any public comment, right?
That's right.
Okay. So the next item is review and approval of prior meeting minutes. That's in the first thing in your packet. So to have a motion? Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any additions, corrections, or changes to the minutes in your packet? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. So the minutes are accepted.
All right. That's Will in the on SharePoint in the board meeting folder for tonight. Can you pull up the PowerPoint presentation that I've got there? So we're doing some on training. Shelby's been doing a fantastic job learning all the things that need to go into getting ready for a board meeting. We put together some great resources along the way. That did come at the expense of my written executive director's summary this month, but I do have a little bit more visual for you here, and Will's going to pull that up for us. Right there at the bottom, though. At the top, yeah. So what I want to do is...
Where is the, oh yeah, okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. I wanted to break down for you my report covering some of the major areas that we have going on. And Will, let's probably going to start with slide 3 there. Slide 3 there. Just in terms of overall administration, what's happening behind the scenes to keep everything running. Next slide there. So we're in the middle of our end of the year closeout with all of our work with our accountant. In fact, if there's any more legal bills on your end that need to come over for December, I didn't see any.
The December invoices will go out within the next 5 days.
Okay.
We haven't gotten it yet.
Perfect. All right. So we're working on that. That all seems well and good. The 2024 annual audit is moving along with our external accountants. Bonadio is doing that. We've started working through that checklist already. We actually started that last month. So that's moving along. That Bonadio will begin in February to actually be on site to wrap up the audit, but my expectation that will go smooth as silk. We'll be in and out of there real quick. This month too, because getting Shelby up to speed and having Shelby involved, we did try to make an enhancement to your board packets this month, which is the minutes of the committees that met last week. I don't know if we've done that before. I hope you find that useful to get that up to speed, maybe move us through committee reports a little bit more effectively along the way. So you certainly will have those. We are in the midst of reviewing our expired service agreement for any opportunities for new savings. So one good example of that is our phone systems. We had a 3-year contract on those that ran out last year. And so we're looking at that system now, seeing if we can leverage anything better. There's so many things that have come together with different service providers that, we're just digging into that a little bit more. Also looking at our insurance along the way, developing a first of the year checklist to make sure that all insurances are up to date with all of our different active vendors. So that way we're in a good shape moving forward. And then the other piece that we're working on is that we were doing some audits last month on our insurance policies, one on liability, one on workers' comp. The one we sent in for Lynette is workers' comp, right? came back with a huge bill, and even our insurance broker was completely floored by what that was about. So we're protesting that with them right now, so hopefully we'll resolve that. I think it's a misunderstanding or somebody missed something along the way, but we're just getting all the documentation to prove or submit that. I will say that when we got the letter, it was somewhat delayed, and I wonder if they had started some of that audit ahead of time, and it's just a matter of timing of information. So we'll get that cleaned up. And I wanted to show you too, because we'll talk about this in the financial statements, but just to give you an overall sense as to how administratively what we've been able to do has a real impact to the land bank's financial health. You'll see over the past 3 months, I took out 2 things I thought were really solid indicators about what we've been trying to do behind the scenes every single day. One is always improve our cash position, our cash balance, to make sure that we have money on hand. That is through getting properties closed and sold. We have more. We actually have to tell you about a closing that we're going to have next week that I'm excited about. Making sure that we're going after our grant monies and pulling those in as we can, and not waiting to do a big tranche of money. We try to do that regularly to keep that cash flow moving. So our cash balances, even though it's not a huge number up there, back in October we had 3.3 million. By the end of the year, we actually had more cash on hand than we had in October because we were pulling that money down. And then even our total equity position, you'll see it's 5.2 in October, dipped a little bit in November, and then back in December, we were climbing back up to where we were in October. So again, just that we've been chasing this one all year long, is to close the gaps in the budget with the lack of property to sell, but advancing all of our grant programs and making sure that we're charging those things off as I don't want to say as aggressively as we can, but making sure that they're regular processes. It's just been the overall improved us. Any questions on those pieces? Next slide, Will. Operations. I want to I to the team, if I don't say it, when I should start out with one of these, I say it in a month. Since Lynette's joined the team, as well as Shelby and Elizabeth a little longer. But Lynette and I have been working on our e-property system to do some better tracking of our properties. We have this system that is tremendous, that is absolutely useful, and we're just finding better ways to make use of it, from tracking our grants by putting our properties in programs and tracking our applicants. And even pushing, and Lynette pushed on this a little bit, we had to renew our contract and got more training hours out of them to make sure the staff is knowing how to use this software, because it just makes our job tremendous. Joe is like City Works, well laid out, and Joe knows what I'm talking about from Colony days and the piece of software they had. We're seeing fewer notices of violation coming in from the city of Albany. I think that's us being proactive. We're out in the field. I think the wellness check that we've been using has been certainly helpful identifying problems before the city identifies the problems. But it's also, there's been more calls and interaction with the city. I think department by department, we're doing much better at that. I've noted before that Susan has been fantastic in establishing a good relationship with Public Works. I think we're regulatory charge ahead of them, so I don't take it too personally. There's a lot of liability that goes into if something happens, as we all remember in Schenectady with some code enforcement issues. But I think that's been really positive. And we're going to start developing some internal scopes of work to help benchmark our project costs along the way. Lynette thinks that we can do a little bit better on the project costs that we have. Will's done a tremendous job even pushing back on our architects to identify other opportunities for cost savings. So any way we can stretch the money that we have on hand to do our projects allows us to do the next project. And so we're moving in that direction. Next piece, Will. I wanted to share with you too about the work Elizabeth's been doing in community engagement and how we're actually seeing some of those numbers improve. The blue bar in October is, I'll say before Elizabeth really got up to speed and on board here. Our Facebook views, and we use views, not necessarily follows, but how many eyes have seen something. We had 835 views of a Facebook post or our Facebook page in October. November, took off because Elizabeth got on top of that. More than 4,000 in December. I think with the holidays, and there's probably a lot of other distractions in social media, we dipped a little bit, but similar in Instagram, and those two tend to travel together. Our LinkedIn impressions, I think we still have to figure out a better way to utilize LinkedIn. That tends to be more of a professional platform, and with what Elizabeth's doing with community engagement, I'm quite happy with the way these numbers are going. I'm also getting out there, Elizabeth's getting out there whenever we do a closing, to try to get to the closing table and grab a picture and just celebrate what people are doing. And there was one, Lorraine here, right? I'm gonna apologize for blanking on a name here. She got there, she said, "What are you doing here? I've bought land bank property before. I've never had the executive director show up." I said, "We want to celebrate what you're doing. You're making a tremendous investment in the community." And so we've gotten a great response along the way, and everybody's been really generous in allowing us to snap a picture with them, talk about their story. We give them a few days, so that way it's not right at closing, but it's been positive. Next one.
What's her story?
What's her story? She is buying another lot. She has done community gardens in the past. What did you talk to her?
I'm giving her a week and then I'm calling her.
So we, on the application, but really, Elizabeth's going back and talking to people after the closing, because we're also using that in our annual impact report to tell people's stories. And so I'll give you that report out when she comes back.
So what happened between October and November that caused the jump on Facebook?
Elizabeth's here.
Yeah, but what did you do? What's your secret?
I think just starting to be consistent.
Did what?
Like consistent posting. We were trying to get up to posting every day. Just engaging with a lot of other accounts, creating just more interesting posts, I think, in general.
So the graphics of the site,
Yeah.
making it more interesting, moving it, changing it, and people go, "Oh, geez, maybe I'll check on this because it's moving or changing," right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's you.
Yeah, we go on there, and if we start engaging with our partners' posts, Affordable Housing Partnership, an example. If they do something and we like and we help share it helps our visibility along the way too, because the way that the great algorithm works, it starts to feed those pieces in. But has been a lot of Elizabeth getting out there and posting and making use of our social media. We get some comments every now and again that are not helpful. We don't delete them, but we may hide them if it just is going to just send us down a space. So it's still there, but we don't delete them. But it's not. And I don't think when I say it's not productive, I think we're if somebody wants a challenge or ask a question, a hard question, I think it's perfectly fair. But there have been just a couple of comments out there that I don't think are particularly helpful or in the dialogue. So they're out there.
This is translating to hits on the website.
Well, so we'll go.
Is that the next?
That's the next one. Yeah.
Okay.
So just to show you, so Charlie, to your point, what are we doing? These are the things Elizabeth's doing. Here's the top 5 social media posts on Facebook for each of the month, each November and December in there. So,
So you have to think those things up and lay them out.
Yeah, I think Elizabeth is putting, doing the graphics, and Shelby's, you're also been involved in some of the graphics, been helping us. So the whole team's come together on this. If
I'm an old guy. This is all new to me. So. Fantastic.
If I go out, some of the pictures on Second Street are things that if we're out at a visit, I'll send back to the office. And Elizabeth, with a couple of notes for me, puts together a post and gets it out there. You see, we did gingerbread houses in December. That was fun. That was a little bit of a team building activity. We were supposed to do it a few weeks earlier, but I overlooked the fact that he needed egg whites to make gingerbread houses. So when we got to him, Will wasn't there. So Will's house is still upstairs, waiting to be built. But he hasn't applied for the permit.
So there are 5 posts for each month.
Those are just the top 5.
Top 5 posts.
Top 5 posts in terms of the number of views.
So does the thing change every day in the month? The page?
We have content. If we have something to share, there's something.
Yeah, so you're free to change it every day. And these are the top 5 of 30
Yeah.
days.
Over the month.
Yeah,
And that's not necessarily a good indicator either, because you can see, they may post at the end of the month, but it gets lots of eyes on it. These things happen in just a matter of days.
Mhm.
So, I'm not expecting to see by the end of the month, a post is still getting a lot of
Yeah,
necessarily a lot of
right.
traction. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. Next slide there, Will, and this is what our website engagement has looked like. I would say that the traffic tailing off, so this is funny, because we're seeing more engagement on the social media, less on the website. Now, if you were to ask me, there's one of two things happening here. One is that because we don't have buildings to sell, people have stopped checking in on us. And they may be looking more at what's happening on Facebook. And so they're not going to our website to go see what's happening. And that's okay. I think, we talked about we had a good meeting, the staff the other day, talk about how the website fits into all of this. And the website is like the static piece that does not change very often. It's not as dynamic as social media. That's where we're trying to get people to end up. So I think that.
Is it seasonal, the website? Do people start looking more in the spring, or it's a straight line through the year?
It'll be interesting, I think, in next year to take a deeper look into the analytics on this to see how much traffic is coming in, referred by social media, unique views. There's a lot of different ways, and I'm not the guy to dissect it all, but we get some insight as to what people are hitting on. But we'll see if that changes a little bit too, because we had, a conversation with one of our municipal partners about they asked for us to help applicants better understand their process. So, if they get a phone call, they're better informed. So I don't know if we can hold everybody's hand, but I think what we walked away from that with was, we can certainly post information to our website, engage people that way. In fact, we're recycling we had an older flyer. We probably have to just make sure the information is updated about the City of Albany's vacant building registry. And really and we're going to update it with a little bit about every municipality that has a vacant building law. So people understand where they need to, what do they need to do.
Yeah, that's good.
That's newsletter content, that's social media content. That's when somebody calls in and asks Shelby a question about, do I have to register my building as vacant? She can say, well, you gotta call the City of Albany, but here's a resource on our website you might want to take a look at.
Well, that's great.
Eyes.
Yeah.
Is one of those background analytics on how someone enters to our site? Like if I'm on Facebook and I happen to hit the website and come in that way, so you can tell the efforts of Facebook are good, bad, or indifferent? There isn't? Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious, 'cause I didn't know, I'm not one of those background guys either.
Yeah, there's,
But you're not as old as me.
and I haven't formally put this in because I can have Google Analytics run our whole report, but if you don't know, what the source of
Ask the
traffic
right
means
question.
or.
Garbage
Right.
in, garbage out.
Exactly. So I thought this was the most helpful to give you a sense as to how engagement is looking today. All right, next one, Will. On the development pieces, I want to have Will chime in on a couple of these, but I want to hit the high notes and Will can dive in on the details here. This is the one I wanted to tell you, the closing. 52nd Avenue is scheduled to close next week, which I'm so excited about because this has been not quite a year in the process, but we had to get the extension from the county on the grant so we can get to a closing. So that is all done. We have a buyer for 48, as you all know, because you approved.
Could those
the
graphics,
buyer.
is any of those graphics 48 and 52nd Avenue?
Nope, they're not. I'll walk you through where those graphics are. So 48 should close soon. We just have to get a survey for the lender, which is an uncommon.
So how much are those two houses? What do we get in from them? The
We
proceeds?
52nd Avenue was 200,000, and then 48 was 180 or 175. 150. Okay.
150 for it's a single, right?
It's a two-family, they're both,
They're both two family.
Yeah.
And yet one gets.
but one is one bedroom over one bedroom, the
Yeah.
other one's a huge 3-bedroom.
Yeah,
two-story.
what explains the difference in price.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you'll see a nice cash number come in,
Yeah.
hopefully in the January report.
Is there anything on title requiring the lender to get a survey?
Yeah, we went back to the lender to see if the lender would waive the survey. Is
Anything you're worried about, or just need the survey cleared up?
Just need the survey on, record. There aren't any concerns that I've been made aware of. So, we probably we get through there. I mean, we've done the 52nd Avenue survey. So I'm not concerned. It's just a time and effort situation now. So Hirschberg will usually do those surveys for us and get those out.
Dan's still kicking around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Dan Hirschberg.
Oh, Dan, yeah, he's still around.
I thought he retired like 5 years ago. He's still going.
I saw him. He's cooking along. It's
Dan's never gonna
amazing.
retire.
Amazing.
So the South Island cluster, and that's the first picture, that's the elevations for Broad Street. Those are the elevations, Will, if I'm correct, from the certificate of appropriateness
Yep,
process.
so this is what was presented to City of Albany's Historic Review Commission, and this is what was presented for this specific part of the project.
And how did that go?
That part of the project was approved.
They do it on the same evening, or do they defer till the next meeting? When you present it, where they say, well, it's
Oh, I think they went to 2 or 3.
It went to multiple meetings.
Yeah.
okay,
But they're all done.
Yeah.
We're all
okay.
through that.
What else do we need then, after that?
Yeah, I actually have a timeline. I don't know if you want me to.
Yeah, well, I'll have Will, why don't you talk about that, and I'll just, one thing I'll leave you with before Will jumps into that, is the state is targeting financing by the end of 2025.
Yeah.
So closing this year.
And then this, well, okay. I don't know if you want to explain the other 2 photos first. I mean, we'll go.
I can do that,
Okay.
and then, so I'll do this, let me just hit the photos, and then I'll have Will give you the details.
Okay.
Second picture here is, the Henry Johnson Boulevard cluster there. I want to point this out to you because 337 Clinton Avenue, we're monitoring right now. There's one of the boards in the mural had popped loose, and we asked John to go secure that and look at that.
Is that in the picture?
Yep, that's the Henry
With the
Johnson
mural?
there, yeah.
The mural building is the one you're talking
The
about?
mural building, yep,
Okay.
that's 337 Clinton. So we went over there, opened the door, looked inside, have an engineer take a look at it. We're probably going to have to address it. But we're
What's
waiting.
gonna be done with it? Is it part of the project? Are they
Well, initially
rehabbing?
it was gonna be a reuse of the building, and that's why you still see it with the mural on the side there. We're having the engineer look at it because we got to determine whether or not it's gonna continue to be a candidate for reuse or whether the building should come down
Yeah.
because its condition has gone to a point where
Okay.
it's.
Is home leasing involved in that, or they're
Oh,
not?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've been involved in the conversation.
Yeah.
So I think what I wanted to let you know about is that we are looking into that. It could be a situation where if that building comes down, we're also being very responsible about dealing with the mural itself, even asking the engineer if they have a plan to take it down. Is there a way to take the mural off the building and preserve it and set it aside? If not, we've already been in contact with home leasing and the artist as well to make sure that mural comes back again. The way that that mural is done, and this is actually credit to Kara Historic Albany who filled me in on it, is that it's created digitally, projected up, and then painted.
wow,
And so the artwork that was created as digital
Mhm.
and still exists. So, there's an opportunity to bring that back. And Will and Home Leasing and Samson, the artist, have all been, talking about this. So we're being very mindful that is an important element to the neighborhood that we don't want to lose along the way.
Mhm.
So it's possible if that building does have to come down, that mural may
Mhm.
come with it, and we may be able to save it and bring it back, or we may be installing it in a
well, that's what
different
we
manner.
should be doing, showing respect for things in the neighborhood.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
we're not just Joe Developer.
Yep. So.
Pretty cool too. Samson does them like in the middle of the night, because we had him do one at Goes.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just setting up at like 8 p.m. and then he goes out for dinner. Starts work around midnight.
You got it up there. And then the bottom picture is just the rendering for Ontario and Bradford. That's the one that's going to be the furthest along. But with that, I'll let Will jump in and give you an update on development.
Sure. So I just came up with a hopefully an easy way to
Great,
envision these. So I'll start with the south end cluster.
big picture,
Yes.
62 and 10.
So-
166,
Yep. So big picture, 62 rental townhomes, as you saw in the previous photo, they'll look, each street along those
Mhm.
areas will look similar in fill. And the plan is still to do 10 home ownership townhomes, but the plan is to kind of do those at the same time, so to create those cost savings with having a single general contractor. So that, where we are right now is we're almost through municipal approvals. We have Historic Resources Commission have approved all the elevations and what it'll look like on the street. But we're still, I know there's still some back and forth going on regarding stormwater retention. But that's the last thing that is needed before they can.
Where is that located?
The South End Co-Development Cluster, it's between Broad Street and Elizabeth Street and Second and Third Avenues.
Oh. Don't
anything
we-
on Stephen and Tunis?
Stephen and Tunis, couple.
Yeah.
Definitely on Tunis. Tunis,
Yeah.
we own most of the block
Yeah.
at this point. So right now, like Sean said, we received word from the state that the plan is to close on this project at the end of this year, Q4 2025. So yeah, that's the update on that one.
Yeah.
Henry Johnson Clinton Avenue, we have all municipal approvals for this one. It was it's weirdly a little bit simpler of a project in terms of stormwater and such, because they're not all separate units. So they have all those approvals thus far. But they're planning probably Q2 2026 for closing on that project. They're currently working on securing some brownfield tax credits for that site. But they are actively working on getting those fundings together in their application to the state.
There don't seem to be any home ownership in that.
So not in this one, there will be some mixed use commercial. Our flip the block cluster really is providing the home ownership.
I thought they originally had some home ownership in their proposal.
Not in that one, because the site is smaller.
Okay.
Wasn't that, excuse me, also supposed to be senior citizens or something involved in that?
What is supposed to be in that?
The Henry Johnson cluster
What about,
between
who's supposed to be in?
senior citizens.
So there's ongoing conversations of how to program the first floor commercial space. So there's been conversations with the church, as well as.
Reverend Johnson,
Yeah, yeah.
Metropolitan.
Yeah, Metropolitan, as well as, I believe there's been initial conversations with the Frank Chapman. As well. So,
Who?
Norma Chapman. the
Oh, yeah,
Chapman
okay,
Memorial.
yeah, Frank Chapman.
Yep.
Okay.
Is there any requirements in our contract with them regarding the closing date? Or is that like in line with?
We're still in line with what's allowed. We just approved, they had an automatic extension, which they exercised a couple of months ago. But this agreement is also has ACDA involved, City of Albany Community Development Agency. But we have meetings every 2 weeks to discuss their movement on this. Ontario and West Street cluster, this is basically one large building project. This is your typical low-income housing apartment complex, but will have elements of a community center on the first floor, community hub, as well as commercial space.
And it's the same developer that did Equinox up the street.
Same developer.
Everybody knows Equinox on
Mhm.
Central.
Swinburne.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're currently working on a project on Colgan. This one's a little bit behind the other two. We have all of they've recently submitted all their applications for municipal approvals. It looks like the first planning board meeting to review this is gonna be in February. Date still TBD. But they're going for a 9% tax credit deal. So for the other two, it's basically get through your approvals, and then you work with the state to come up with a closing date. It's not competitive. This one's competitive, so when it will start is a little bit less known. They will submit their application in the fall of this year, assuming they have all their approvals.
Don't get discouraged if it doesn't go through the first time.
Well,
That's
this is
the
a proven
9%.
developer that's already done stuff, so it's not like they're gonna fade away.
Right. Yeah, but the 9%, it's a competitive system.
Yeah.
So,
It is always a little discouraging just to see how long sometimes the application process is for those tax credits, but that's nothing we can control, so.
That's the city of Albany.
when you're giving back 9% per year for 10 years on your investment, it's,
Right.
yeah.
And then I don't have as neat of a timeline for Flip the Block, but we're basically going down two roads for this. One is to develop 4 to 7 single-family homes using one source, and 10 2-unit homes using another source called Flip or Block by Block. Recently put out by New York State HCR. Both of these will be HCR funded grant projects, but different rules. We're still moving along, working with a modular home developer because modular is much quicker to build and it's comparable in price to stick build. And we're meeting regularly with that modular company for both a single family model and a 2-family model. So here's an update of what we control on those 2 blocks. And this is generally what we're planning to put together for an application. For Block by Block, it's going to be everything in orange. These are the 2-family units, and everything in blue is either going to be a different program, AHOP, and Land Bank Initiative funds. So these will all be single family, except this one on 2nd Street. This one is an existing building that we're almost complete with the rehab. We should be complete by the end of this month, so that'll be the first move around these 2 blocks.
We're on Second Street.
257 between Henry Johnson and Lex.
And Lex,
This whole cluster is between, we own everything in orange and blue. And when I say between 4 and 7, so you got these 4 that are definite.
Yeah.
And then we own a couple more in here that have been in different phases of available or not available.
Yeah,
to us, so.
that's, we're dealing with blight where things come and go. And so over the life of the project, we might acquire more property, right?
Mhm.
Which could be good.
Exactly.
And so potentially there's 27 units, optimum.
Yeah.
27 units. The south end is 160, 150?
Yeah, 166 units.
166 of which 10 are owner occupied. So let's just say 17 owner occupied on one cluster, 10 on the other, that's 27. And let's see, the other 2 clusters are not home ownership. So 27 is the total. But that's 27 new homeowners that the land bank has created.
Mhm.
Plus over, it's gonna be 200, 300 units of affordable housing.
Yep.
All the land bank did this, right? And only the land bank could do it really, because we're the ones that assembled all this and get the community to buy into it, right? It's not just Joe Developer goes in and plunks something up and nobody wants it and all that. So this is what the land bank does. We should be proud of this. It takes a long time, but when you get done, it's a big impact.
And we're due, so today, I was on a call. Oh, whose call was it now? I was on two calls. The one with, for your property, program, and then, another about, just land banking and then affordable housing. And we are doing things that the big land banks are doing, that have also recognized the pivot that's necessary after Tyler.
Yeah.
Which is to become public developers of housing.
Yeah.
And so we are doing the same thing the big shots are doing, the big guys are doing.
That's right.
So I'm excited about this.
Well, when I'm thinking of the governor's, the big thing that she rolled out, which is, lots of fluff,
Mhm.
but by rolling it out and saying, we need housing, who are they gonna talk to, right? Well, here's a developer that's got 200 and something units, and we're neighborhood based, give us some money.
Yeah.
To buy, say, well, do you control all this land? No, but if you give us some money, we can take that block and fill it in. We can go buy out the block, right? Almost take those absentee landlords out, do demo, put home ownership in with state money, right? If you really want to think big, you want to go to a developer who's ready to do it, and we're ready, right? We can say, this is what we're doing on the block. Would you like to double that and triple that?
Right.
I feel like we might touch on this later because I had the same conversation at our committee meeting earlier in the week, last
Okay.
week.
Yeah, good.
Got a question for you, Lynette. You're working on the updating kind of the existing software to better track project costs. Since we're like going from kind of what we were to what this is becoming, really project developers, like are you able to integrate everything you're doing easily into the new software? Because like your track, like this alone is 17 mini projects in and of itself.
Yeah,
And then you're bringing them all together to track timing and costs, which is not an easy task.
yeah, part of that is what we're working on. Ultimately, right now, it's being tracked separately, but I think that is part of what we're working on.
So it's all, I always have the fear of like somebody gets hit by a bus and you have no idea what's going on with everything.
That is, Lynette and I
Okay.
can't say that anymore.
Oh, we can't.
We have to say.
Behind the scenes, what the hell?
If
He
you talk
came into
about
my office. What's
Somebody
going
being
on?
successful in winning the lottery and moving on.
I thought you were gonna go being hit by a cyclist. There you go.
But precisely why we're doing all of this and cross-training, the whole team is involved, is because there's one thing I think that I saw a way we could improve upon, which was just more communication among us. It's happening. I think the setting upstairs helps us do that better. We're leveraging our technology to do that more. And in fact, I got to stop sending messages over the weekend because Lynette responds and I say, Lynette, I'm going to have to like queue them up to all go out on Monday. But I think that's exactly why we need to do it because, growth mindset here will knock this out of the park. And somebody's going to say to Will, come do this for me. And Will's going to get an opportunity to go somewhere else and do this and continue to build. We have to continue with that same information. And so making sure that we keep that all in one place and that, we're not trying to replace Will at all or anybody on the team, but I said that's, with success comes opportunity for the land bank, but it could come for, members of the team too. And so we want to make sure that all that information that's currently locked up here is somewhere else.
We'll also have a mini test run of that starting in May, because my wife's having a baby.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Parental leave for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Well, you will be getting hit by a bus then, so.
You haven't had it yet, right? The baby's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then your whole demeanor will change. Suddenly you'll be bleary-eyed and.
And I said when Will's home with the new baby,
Yeah.
that's the family's time to get together. I don't want to bother Will at all.
Yeah.
And that's what my goal is. No offense to Will, it's not to talk to Will.
Yeah.
But I think you're welcome to come by with the baby. But, but yeah, that's one of the reasons that we're doing all of this is to be smarter about the decisions that we're making. Have the data in the right place for it, have it organized well. All the information is there, and people know their info. But I think that we've all seen, I've seen opportunities where I can improve the information that we present and organize. So yeah, we're seeing that across the board.
Is your current application you're using sufficient to incorporate all this stuff? You're just not using it to its fullest yet, or do you have to look at different tools?
No, I think we're pretty confident that it can do what we want it to do, and that the developer of the application has been totally on board with if we come across something, working with us to enhance. I think that they also see I think they've seen sort of their growth level off. And I think that they're looking for new ways to push in. And so that's what we're always looking for, is how we can better leverage the software. And if we can do that, then it's probably another value add to them.
It's e-property plus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got competitors up there, so they definitely want to be looking
Yeah,
at
and it seems like,
expanding.
I look at this is our baby in the sense that this is our first one that we're doing ourselves. And that just like all the things you're talking about, a coordination of information in the office, I see this as a whole series of opportunities. Each one of those lots is a story. And without going in there and saying, hey, we're Joe Developer, we've got a lot of money, because then all the prices go through the roof. It's more like you check with Arlene Way, who's working with the homeowners on the block using one of our grants, and say, hey, what's moving and shaking on these houses quietly? And then at some point you go, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse, right? And you quietly can, over the life of this 2-3 years, you might find 17 more houses on the same block because people say, take my house, please. Or, code enforcement says, I got to get out. We got to tear this down. Great. Nick, instead of the old days, we tear it down and we get rid of the lot. It'll be tear it down and put a new house there.
Yeah.
That's our cookie cutter that we'd like to say. Which house is it? It's the same damn house, right? It's a front porch. It's a 3-bedroom house. It's your first time home buyer.
Yeah. We're getting there.
I was at Inga's Diner on Fuller Road, and the guy that was cooking turned around to me, and he says, "Hi, Charlie." And I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I was your trim carpenter 40 years ago when you were building houses on Livingston Avenue and Frisbee and Myrtle and stuff."
Yeah.
And he was doing the trim, right? And his friends were doing the electrical. They were a Greek family and stuff. And so I said, yeah, and it got pretty easy, wasn't it? It was all the same. He says, that's right, Charlie. It was the same house all the time. You can say, well, isn't that boring? And, you shouldn't do that. But the definition of affordability is it needs to be something that someone can build fast. And they don't charge you a lot to build it. So you can sell it for a reasonable price. And really, a family just wants a nice house. What color, what carpeting, just give me 3 bedrooms, give me a front porch, give me a backyard, give me separation from my neighbor, right? Those are the elements that I found that over hundreds of houses, that this is all people want, the American dream. So, and the 2-family, of course, is the main one, no question about it.
All right.
That.
That's all right. Thanks, Will.
Okay.
And the last piece that just because we are leading the way here, I have been asked to go down to Washington at the end of February to present either with or following a panel that includes Bruce Katz to talk about affordable housing at the International Economic Development Council. They're excited to hear what we're doing and how we view this as essential to economic development.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay,
Any questions? Covered a lot.
it's important.
Yes.
We'd like to know. Okay, item 5 is the committee reports. We got finance. That's your next thing in your package.
Yep.
You
So
already told us the good news, we don't need to know the details.
right, the minutes are in there, so the committee saw the interim statements because they're waiting for the accountant's statements, and they're marked draft because we're just at the end of the year. But I'll just, hit the same high notes, on the first page on the balance sheet, the total bank accounts, you'll see we're at 3.4,
What line
cash
number are you at?
available, that's line number 7.
Okay,
I don't have anything out there in terms of T-bills currently, so everything is up in cash right now. Lines 15 and 16 are the grant receivables we have for the LBI Phase 1 and Phase 2. We should be able to liquidate the line 15 Phase 1 this month for the prior year. The goal is to try to wrap that up so we can make that final adjustment to the books, because we should be able to put that on last year. Down to our other current asset, or our total, down to our property inventory, line 25. This year we're at 2.2 million. If you just jump up one line before that, line 24, you can see the adjustments that we make along the way, for cost or market conditions, because we are rehabbing property and we're typically putting more into it than the market can bear, but that's how you improve neighborhoods, is that you have to take some risk and some loss along the way. Moving down to our fixed assets, 29 and 30, all of our computers have been depreciated, so that was fun to see. Line 31, this is a question in the past, the right to use asset, that's our lease upstairs for Suite 601. We have as an asset and an offsetting liability. And our total assets on line 34 are $6.7 million, including cash and property. On the next page are liabilities and equity. Line 39 is our accounts payable. As I've shared before, where we have terms that are net 30, we typically pay between 20 to 30 days. So we will typically carry a payable number there. So that's what that reflects. Line 42 is our credit card. We always we tend to carry a balance there. That picks up some regular and reoccurring charges like our internet service and our mobile phones, just so we don't get hit with any late fees along the way. And then it gives us actually another 28 days to pay that. Lines 46 and 47, do you ever see numbers in our accrued numbers? That's a matter of timing. So we have some accrued expenses, some accrued payroll that we haven't paid out for yet. But that is a fluid number that will change over time. 48, our discharge and legal reporting fee. I let the finance committee know that was a lingering item that needed to be addressed and resolved. Prior to March 1st of 2020, the land bank took in recording fees at closing for properties that sold, and we stopped that practice, but we still have those liabilities on the books where we haven't discharged a mortgage. And so we have to adjust that as some of those older ones come off. So again, with the improvements that we're doing in terms of our day-to-day operations, we now have a way to account for that, because there's one person handling it in the past, and we really can't keep up with that. Lines 51 and 52 are a bit of an offset on our grant revenue coming in, although you'll see there's a difference between the Phase 2 numbers on revenue and liability, and that's, again, a matter of timing. And then our deferred revenues on 54 and 55 for co-development projects. Those are our maintenance, the maintenance monies that we hold in there. So it's not that we've gotten anything for those development clusters, but as part of those master development agreements, they'd have some responsibility for maintenance of those properties. Any questions on the balance sheet? The bottom line number, line 64, 6.7 million in liabilities and equity. All balances out. That's why they call it that. All right. Profit and loss. I'll again just hit the high notes here. I mentioned about line 5 is our LBI Phase 1. You'll see that we're under budget for the revenue there, but we have to submit that in there. Line 11, our property sale income, under budget as to be expected, but our total revenue at the bottom, line 26, still again under budget by about 47%, but some of that will adjust when we make that grant payment. It's going to be all tied into the same things I talked about last month. It's property sales, property sales, property sales. But again, good news on the timing on those co-development fees. Those will come in and that certainly helps turn things around. That's really it. The most I have, to really dig into. Everything has been pretty on par, keeping expenses down, trying to drive revenues up. Everybody's a team player on it across the board. So just we have well more than enough to get through the next couple of years.
Okay, right.
Any questions on those reports? And again, the summary of the finance committee. You'll have some other notes there.
Okay. Next item is acquisition and disposition. We have a resolution.
Resolution. Approved.
Want to move it?
You move it, and who's second? Joe?
I'll second.
Okay. Presentation.
All right, just one sale this month. If you look at the screen, it will be 557 South Pearl Street. We own this property and okay, but the two parcels up. This applicant is under contract for the adjacent properties in blue. During our during acquisition and disposition committee review of this property, it was determined that this applicant has quite a bit, while they're under contract for this, likely will not have the capacity to close on these lots for a little while. They're still in the process of setting up a corporation to acquire them.
Is this the church?
This is not the
No.
church. Nope. This is near the highway, South Pearl.
Yeah.
South. Is the corner of McCarty.
Okay, yeah. I was
Okay.
thinking of Cherry Avenue.
Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill Mansion is that up there.
Yeah.
So the idea, since the applicant does not plan to build on this specific lot, the suggestion was to approve the sale to this applicant, but under an enforcement mortgage that they, once they close on the adjacent properties, merge them to create one larger buildable parcel. Both to connect it with that one, to make sure that we don't get it back separately in the future. So it would be approval with a 12-month enforcement to merge the lot with the adjacent lot.
Fine by me.
Okay.
We hope not to get the lot back, but if we did,
Yeah. We don't want to be stuck with a pig in a poke.
that's right, we'll take it.
Okay.
And to be clear, the enforcement would be gone at the point when they merge the lots. We have no more say in it,
Right.
but it's worth making the deal in order to not see the lot again.
What a
That's
good
right.
developer was this all would do anyway, right? But we're just protecting ourselves by having the mortgage in case they go south.
And this is one of those ones too, in terms of like area and shape of that parcel. Like, is it really is the value in it the development, or is the value in it that it allows you the capacity to develop more on the other parts of the lot? I think it's the latter. I think it's exactly that. It leverages development elsewhere on the site.
Right, we're hoping to add value to the overall site
Exactly.
by acquiring that.
Okay, any more questions? All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed, abstained, resolution is passed. Enforcement and compliance.
Minutes are in your packet there. I just an update. We had two requests, and so the committee approved those. That committee should see some more action moving forward because our team is looking at past enforcement mortgages that, for one reason or the other, just have lingered out there. There are going to be some that are older than 5 years, and we really don't have a lot of recourse on those because we sort of let that time clock go. And so we're going to take a look and see where they are, and then bring back some thoughts and recommendations to the board. It might just be that we just discharge those enforcement mortgages because I don't think that we have a lot of a place to go. The other piece of that is it's going to allow us to free up our resources. And again, using our e-property to keep better tabs on some of these, because we don't have all of our enforcement organisms in our e-property system. So we require a spreadsheet to be able to do that. We're adjusting that. We're pushing that all into that system. Again, CityWorks, the CityWorks model that some of our cities use, or the permitting system that the city of Albany uses.
Would that be able to push, notifications to you if we're approaching, I don't know, X date in our contract for that? Okay.
Exactly. We want to be able to run reports, like on the enforcement mortgage piece. We want to be able to run a report as to, what is hitting a certain milestone.
Yep.
So it gives us that again, that whole e-property gives us a bit of a dashboard to look at things, gives staff assignments. So if I need to work on something, right now, in fact, we're going to help with our property on Melrose. She's due to draw down more money, and home headquarters asked us to just take a walk through and take a look and let them know if we think that they're far enough along. So we're using that to just track those assignments. So I assigned the service to Lynette as a service manager, and Lynette didn't know, but she assigned me the work, so I'll be out there tomorrow taking a walk. Taking a walk again. So.
It's working.
Yeah.
So 45 Ontario, what are you gonna do?
My notes back up here.
Yeah, these are the two things that you did at the meeting,
Yes.
Yeah.
45 and 309.
Correct.
So release the mortgage on 309.
Mhm.
And 45, what are you doing?
That's allowed the resale of that property pending, pay taxes by the current owner.
And resale pending our approval of the buyer?
Yes,
Yes.
yep. We've approved the buyer, but the current owner still has to pay their taxes before they.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. New business, resolution to consider the approval of contracts with various vendors. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Second,
Second,
presentation?
All right, so this is for all our, lead, testing, asbestos testing, air monitoring services for demos. And we decided that we were going to, select three companies to work with, two that we worked with before and one that would be new. So those are Apex Environmental, CT Mal, who also does our engineering services, as well as Paradigm, who would be the new company that we haven't worked before, but had some of the best pricing.
Yeah.
So
So this gives you the authority to wheel and deal with the three, the stable of the three.
exactly, yep.
And Will took a look at what they are proposing and took a look at some, past projects to create some examples as to what that pricing may look like.
Yeah.
And was part of how we got there, so we did a great job with that.
Do they include like phase 1 and 2 numbers, or are you just going for straight testing?
So those are separate contracts.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, resolution passed. Okay, that ends the regular business session of the meeting, right?
Yeah, to our executive session. So I do have one item that I'd like to enter into executive session for, and I apologize, I said Michelle earlier,
That's
to
okay.
Nicole.
That's okay.
I looked up a second ago. And Nicole, let me know in terms of the wording here, but the executive session will need a motion to enter executive session to discuss a potential acquisition of real property where if disclosed publicly would impact the value thereof.
Yep, that's right, under 105 of the owner.
Yeah. Yeah, so we would need a motion in a second for
Yep,
that.
we have a motion to go into executive
So-
session. Second?
I saw Joe raise the hand.
Either way, you take it.
Okay,
Just
all
pick a
those in
job.
favor?
Take a chance.
Signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
All right, give me 1 second. We're going to pause our recording, and I'll just note for the public, after this, we don't have any more business, and we won't be appropriating any public funds. So we'll leave executive session and the meeting will be adjourned unless the
Does
board
our
wants to.
visitor have to leave?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can tell you're getting educated.
Yes, I help a lot of people buy and sell the area.
Good, good.
And I've used your grant too, so.
Okay, we need more people to focus on these neighborhoods and wheel and deal and get something going.